Brothers and sisters, I'd like to say a few words about Thomas Jefferson. He believed strongly that the family farmer exemplified the kind of independence and virtue that should be supported by the new republic. Jefferson's farmer was hardworking and honest, with a sense of spiritual connectivity to the land. It's still the primary vision of American democracy. Imagine millions of family farmers, our country's heart and soul rooted in the land. They work cooperatively, they feed their communities, they live a rich cultural life. They are America's spiritual and economic background. It's fast becoming an illusion. The family farm in America is being wiped out of existence. An entire way of life is dying right in front of our eyes. According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the number of farms in the United States has fallen from about 6.8 million in 1935 to only about 2 million farms today. That doesn't mean that there's less farming going on. U.S. farms are producing more than ever. But what it does mean is that farming is increasingly becoming dominated by agribusiness. In place of small family farms, you have factory farms and plantations. Back in 1900, about 39% of the population worked on farms. At this point, only 2% of all Americans now live on farms. This is all the more so in regard to black farmers, tragically enough. In 1900, there were 746,000 black farmers in the United States. By the year 2000, fewer than 18,000 black farmers were still farming, a catastrophic decline of 98% in the 20th century. It is simply not economically feasible to operate a small family farm. According to Farm Aid, every week approximately 330 farmers leave their land for good. A very large percentage of family farmers are getting on in years. Today, only 6% of all farmers are under the age of 35. Most young people these days are not too eager to choose farming as a career. A lot of young adults that grew up on family farms have decided that investing hundreds of thousands of dollars in a business that requires you to work 12 hours or more per day most of the year for very meager wages is simply not worth it. In recent years, many family farmers have been forced to find second jobs in order to support their families. Many family farms are constantly on the verge of financial ruin. This chart says it all. From a peak of over 6 million farms, in 1935, we see that today the number of farms in the U.S. has fallen to roughly somewhere in the order of 2 million or so. On the other hand, farm size has more than doubled. The size of farms has more than doubled from 200 acres per farm to over 400 acres per farm. And the total amount of land that's being farmed has more or less remained constant. So this tells us rather dramatically that big farms have only gotten bigger. The vast majority of America's farmland is controlled by a small number of farms. The top 10% of farms in terms of size, the top 10% account for more than 70% of cropland in the United States. The top 2.2% alone take up or account for more than a third of the land. The family farm of just 100 or 200 acres or so is on the way out. Curiously enough, this mirrors what is happening to the middle class. A report published in December by the University of California at Berkeley economists Thomas Piketty, Emmanuel Cezaz, and Gabriel Zuckman reveals unprecedented levels of social inequality in the United States. The report documents an immense redistribution of wealth over a period of several decades, a redistribution from working people to the rich. The bottom 50% pre-tax share of national income has fallen from 20% in 1970 to 12% in 2014. That's the bottom 50%. Whereas the income share of the top 1% has almost doubled to 20%. Top 1% get 20% of the income. Now, when we look at wealth as opposed to income, the polarization is even more striking. The wealthiest 1% now own over 37% of household wealth. 1% own over 30% of household wealth, while the bottom 50%, the bottom half, roughly 160 million people, own almost nothing. So it seems that family farmers and the middle class both are heading the way of the dinosaurs towards extinction. Now it seems to us that you who are concerned about the aliveness of the food you eat can make a real difference here. Why not be your own family farmer? Why not? In the February 8th Wall Street Journal, there was an article in the front page as to how salad greens are disappearing in Europe. That's right. Lettuce, spinach, and broccoli have suddenly become scarce in the UK, France, Netherlands, and Denmark, and elsewhere. Lettuce is being rationed. It seems that in winter, most of the salad greens for Europe come from Spain, and the weather there has been unusually cold. Much the same could happen here. Just like with Spain supplying Europe with most of its salad greens during winter, so too California supplies the States with most of its vegetables in wintertime. A spell of unusually cold or rainy weather could cause a severe disruption. Why? Why should we allow ourselves to be dependent upon an increasingly complex and inherently fragile distribution system? Why not grow it yourself? Grow it yourself. To get started, all you need are some plastic trays and some potting soil. Now is the time to start your leeks, onions, lettuce, and kale. Start them in the plastic trays. Put the tray in a warm place in your house, and it's important to keep it moist to water, ideally 2 or 3 times a day. And as soon as the seeds germinate, as soon as the seeds germinate, put them in direct sunlight, say a south-facing window. In March, start your tomatoes, and in April, start your cucumbers. In a few months, you'll be able to transplant into raised beds in your backyard. And then, what about your front yard? Why not make your front yard into an orchard? Now is the time to plant a fruit tree. It's called bare root time. Yes, you can plant the apple that was prized by George Washington, Newtown Pippin, or the apples that Thomas Jefferson planted in Monticello, that is a Sopa Spitzenberg and Calville Blanc de Verre. Think on it. In front of your house, a heritage fruit garden. In the back, a vegetable garden. French intensive, biodynamic, of course. If you live in an apartment, we urge you to join a community garden. By working there with brothers and sisters, bringing life back to the land, you are healing us all. May I say that at Living Tree Community Foods, we believe that it is more important than ever to grow at least a part of the food we eat. So thank you indeed for allowing me to share with you. A privilege.